Okay, would you please call the roll? Alderman Williamson,
Here.
Alderwoman Davis,
Present.
Alderman Cone, Alderman Arnowitz, Alderman COATAR,
Here.
Alderwoman Green, Chairwoman Howard.
Present.
4 present, you have a quorum.
I'm going to be chairing the meeting today because the chairperson, Alderwoman Carol Howard, this is her board bill, and she'd like to present her board bill. So if you could take the appropriate seat, please. And I think it would be good for us to go through the explanation of the original board bill and then go on to your committee substitute.
Okay. We heard the original bill a few weeks ago, and some changes were enacted, and it went onto the floor, but there were some additional changes that needed to be made, so I decided to send it back to committee. Those changes being refining the appropriation of money, and a few other changes for oversight that were suggested by members of the committee. We also changed the way it would be funded. It'll be funded out of the general operating budget for the 2018-2019 year. So, and then the oversight will be for the Board of Aldermen to oversee it, but then they will be set up in consultation with the City Councilor's office to follow the norms of the city and make sure all legal matters have been addressed. So those are the changes that were made. If anybody wants to see the original, I have copies here.
So, Alderwoman, do you mind if we take a moment to talk a little bit more about the actual implementation? Because if I remember right, people were a little confused. And
Okay.
so, because we do know we have a lot of public that views these committee meetings, we want to put a little bit more clarity, most especially to the fact that we will not be providing the services. We will be more, we'll be an office that can gather and then refer out.
Right. The Director of Community Mediation will be an exchange for providing community mediation. They'll be utilizing volunteers. And additionally, I'd like to say that the Office of Community Mediation is something that was suggested by the Ferguson Commission. St. Louis is one of the few cities that does not have one as part of their city government. The process would be that the Office of Community Mediation would make their presence known through various channels with employees, the police department, fire department, community organizations, and what services they provide. They would also recruit volunteers to provide these services and go and have a standard community mediation training that is standardized throughout the nation in collaboration with the previous volunteer Office of Community Mediation that was ran on a volunteer basis here solely for the purpose of providing mediation to community groups. So after that's set up and we are able to recruit the volunteers, the services would be provided to the citizens, municipal offices, police division, fire division, all employees of the city of St. Louis's, businesses, and community non-for-profit organizations. This is a way of providing service to mediate differences between people and institutions, people, neighbors, that would avoid litigation and the more costly efforts of litigation, even people looking to litigate with the city. Hopefully the mediators could get involved there for people that may have damage to their fence, that are thinking about hiring attorneys, that we could mediate those issues that would save the city money in the long run.
And the other good thing about this too is it provides the opportunity for people to have understandings where they don't lead necessarily to violence.
Exactly.
And that's one of the strong things I love about the mediation process.
It gets people to the table rather
Yes.
than to the weapon.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Lawsuits.
Yes,
Mhm.
I love it, thank you. And so the fiscal year for your program will begin 2018, 2019,
Correct.
okay? And so that still gives us time to collaborate with entities out here, get a good referral system started, getting people on board with this process. And one of the other things I like too is, I just recently learned that we're already using mediation in
The
corrections department.
In the corrections,
Yes.
yes. Police,
Yeah.
fire, yeah.
Yeah.
Many of them are already using that. So,
Okay, so our fiscal note is in place. Is there any discussion about that?
we predict that hiring a professional mediator, some people are a little worried that I might not be able to make it on 200,000. I believe that we can hire a competent mediator that's well-trained for, with benefits and salary for around $100,000, and they would have an assistant, which we could hire for approximately $40,000, $40,000 to $50,000, and then the remainder would be spent on training and setting up the office. I don't know at this time whether, I'm trying to keep it as lean as possible, because I know that the city is in dire straits budgetarily, but I believe this is an important expenditure that will save the city money in the long run. Also, as the office is up and running, they're typically, you know, the charge would be on a sliding scale basis for people. If one person can afford to pay and the other one couldn't, there would not be a fee charged. But if both parties are able to pay, there would be a nominal fee. It wouldn't be anything to break or keep people from participating in mediation. So, and, you know, that would go into helping them further their cause, those monies. But to start with, I'm thinking that, we're talking manpower more than anything, and then if we get the volunteers, the training and the manpower to manage the office is gonna be our two biggest, outlays for it.
And if we find an outside entity that could manage that for us, that would be even better.
Possibly.
Right.
So I would ask that the committee pass this out of committee, and we can take it and make it into an ordinance.
Okay. Committee members, are there any questions? Alderman Williamson?
Yeah, just a few. Like I had stated, I guess, when we first heard this bill, I think it's a good bill. It's something that really we need with the city departments. I'm glad that you clarified and we kind of straightened up the financial situation on how it's streamlined, the funding is going to take place, and that's great for 2018, 2019. I just had a couple of questions about, I know you said it's 200,000, and we're gonna have one person be the mediator, because I know we had a gentleman come, he spoke, that has a service, and they have these volunteers. So if you kind of elaborate on that, on how, would it be just one person that we're paying, or will it be a group of people that come in and do the mediation out there?
It would be one person that actually manages the mediation with an assistant, a clerical assistant clerk. And
that
they
person
would,
be doing the mediation
they
himself
could
or herself?
possibly be doing the mediation, but they would also have trained volunteers
I see,
that
okay.
would go through certain training that is provided through a national organization of mediators.
Okay,
And there is a fee for that, so that would take up some of the money.
I see.
So, and then,
Okay.
you know, once we get it going, I think it would you know,
Right, so you kinda-
pay for
you
itself
pay for
kind of
yourself.
thing, yeah.
Okay,
So,
that's all I had, you can put my name on,
okay,
add my name to the.
all right, all right, thank you, Alderman Williamson.
Alderman Kotar?
No questions.
No questions. I'd like to clarify again, Did you make any changes to the board bill itself when you brought it back to the committee? Fiscal notes, we don't deal with that. That's just an addendum to your bill, but were there any word changes in this bill?
Would you mind?
Yeah, there were actually changes. There had been an emergency clause and a severability clause that were removed, but they do not change materially.
So that's it? You just-
Content, and then also the funding source was added because previously was added and the date, the fiscal year when the funding would begin, which had previously not been in the.
So section 8 was not previously in the bill?
Section 8 where, hold on, do I have the right one here?
Source of funding.
I need this
The
is,
original one.
no, this is the current one.
Here, this is the,
So looking at the current one, section 8, source of funding, that was added. In the previous bill, if you look to the
oh no,
last,
this has section 8. But the source was different.
the source was different, so this was changed. The previous bill, if you look at
It had
it,
a section 9.
it had a section 9 severability clause and a section 10 emergency clause. Those were deleted. And then the other change was to place this under the supervision, as requested in the last committee meeting, to place this under the supervision of the city councilor's office.
So our formal process for taking a bill that has changes forward is still a committee substitute,
Right.
but I don't think you have to do anything but say it's amended.
Okay.
So we do need to have those amendments, and we need to pass those amendments. Don't you?
Motion.
No, I believe, I mean, we need to put this committee sub in front of us, which I don't believe we've done yet.
No.
I thought we
We're
did.
talking about it, but we've
You didn't
never-
bring it
answered.
back as a committee substitute?
We introduced it as a committee substitute, okay? And then it was put on the informal calendar.
Right, so on the floor, it was a
Then-
committee substitute.
Right, but now we have a new committee
Committee
substitute,
substitute.
which is this version that ends with section 8. So we have to put this in front of us and then adopt it.
Right.
It would be my,
I'm gonna go along with you, but I don't think that's right.
you don't think so?
This is amended.
But can we do two?
Committee sub.
It's a new bill.
It's
almost.
amended
It's
committee
amended.
sub.
This is
That's amended committee
Because
sub.
the one that was on the floor
Was
was
a
a
committee
committee
sub.
sub.
Oh.
And then when you
Okay,
went back
so
to
this would be
committee,
committee
this is an
substitute
amended.
as amended.
As
AA.
amended,
Okay,
right.
so we would just put as amended after it.
Oh, I see what you're saying, sorry.
Right, and I
Okay.
need to pass those amendments.
Okay, so do we
But this
need to
was
pass
after.
those each one individually?
I didn't know this was the
That's
same.
how you're supposed to do
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that is-
Well, then, let's do it right.
okay? So, do you know each section that was changed?
Yes. I can
Okay,
make-
you
I
got
can
that in
go-
front of you?
Yeah, I can
Oh,
go back
wonderful.
and, I can
Okay.
go back and make the changes right now.
Alrighty,
Just- Let me make sure I got the correct copies of both. I will be back.
Okay.
we'll take a brief break.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, we're back off our break.
Okay.
As we had commented at the end, we do have some amendments that need to take place. The committee substitute came back from the floor, and sections of Board Bill 132 has been amended. We have identified 4 amendments, and so we ask that we pass each one of these amendments,
Okay.
and they are incorporated in your new bill that goes back to the floor.
Okay, do you want me to present each one?
I would appreciate that.
Okay. Amendment number 1 is removing the severability clause. The provisions are severable of this ordinance, a whole or in part is determined invalid, illegal, void, or enforceable. Remaining portions of any such provision not found to be unenforceable, and all remaining provisions shall not be affected. That's not necessary, so we remove that, okay?
So, before us is amendment number 1, which is striking section 9 on page 1 of 5.
No. That's on page,
That's what I have in front of me.
it should be page 5 of 5. Or 4 of 5.
that what I have in front of me?
No, the numbering is off on this. I do not know why.
Should be
Page 4.
four of five.
So there's a different bill that we should be looking at.
No, Madam Chair.
Five.
No, she got the wrong number.
Should be
Chair,
six
the numbering
pages.
here did not come through, so. This is corrected on here. So this is 1 of 5, then 2 of 5, 3, 6, 4, and then this is 5, 1 of 5.
I think it's
It's actually should be 6.
six pages. So this is page 5 of 6.
It is, it's one of, it's 6 pages. So this should all be 6 right there.
Striking amendment 1 is striking this.
Every page cannot be page 1.
All right.
That's the first problem. Every page cannot be page 1. So,
It's
this is
page
page
5 of
1
6.
of 6 if there are 6 pages. This is page 2 of 6 if there are 6 pages.
Right.
This is page 3 of 6 if there are 6 pages, and so forth and so on. So I need a pen. Thank you.
I think it's 6 pages altogether. And this should be 4 of 6. No, 5 of 6.
2 of 6.
This was numbered right.
So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, goes 5. Page 5 of 6. Page 6 of 6. Okay. Gotcha.
Okay. Okay, so we've got amendment 1 on page 5 of 6,
Yes,
striking the severability clause.
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Can we have a motion to approve amendment 1?
I move that we adopt amendment number 1 to Board Bill 132, committee substitute.
Second.
Move to second, please call the roll.
Alderman Williamson,
Aye.
Alderwoman Davis,
Aye.
Alderman Cone, Alderman Arnowitz, Alderman Kotar,
Aye.
Alderwoman Green, Chairwoman Howard.
Aye.
4 aye votes.
Okay, you want to go on to amendment 2?
And amendment number 2 on page 6 of 6, it would strike the emergency clause. Since this will not take effect until the 2018-19 fiscal year, we don't need the emergency clause. I would like to move that the committee make a motion to strike that clause.
I'll make a motion to strike amendment
2.
2 of section 10.
Second.
So we moved in second, do I hear previous roll?
Previous roll.
Thank you. Amendment 3?
Amendment 3 revises the change of source funding to general operating fund beginning the 2018-2019 fiscal year.
Move that we adopt amendment 3.
Second.
Previous roll.
Moved. Amendment 4?
Amendment 4 is revising section 1 to place the Office of Community Mediation under the supervision of the city councilor's office.
Make a
Uh,
mo-
Seeing that we needed someone to be accountable for it, we made that motion. So this would be the 4th amendment, and I would move that the committee adopt that.
I make a motion to amend amendment 4.
Okay,
Second.
To amend or
To
to?
adopt,
To
right?
Adopt.
to adopt.
Second. Previous roll.
It's been approved. Sarah, that's all your amendments.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So now can we adopt the committee substitute as amended?
Yes.
Okay, do we need another vote on that?
Yes,
I would
please.
appeal to the committee to adopt the committee substitute as amended.
Second, previous roll.
I thank you.
All
Meeting
right.
adjourned.
Thank you. Okay.